put me on there. Go ahead, Celeste, tell. So yes.
So a black kid was murdered at the school. They found out it was a white supremacy group that had done it. That was being the adult sponsor of the group was a PE teacher at Oroville High School. So there was a huge rally and march through the streets of Oroville in protest that this was going on at the high school. Well, in the 1930s, if you were against the Nazis, you were a hero because we were fighting the Nazis.
Yes.
But now, it was the Nazis that had done this, a Nazi group that had done this, and they were throwing cans and bottles at us and telling us we were communists, and the streets were lined with people from Oroville throwing bottles and cans at us and telling them to get out of there. And I thought, this is the same country that back in this, not that many years ago, was fighting the Nazis and calling them names, Krauts and everything else. And now, because we're against that, in our own country, they're throwing bottles at us and telling us that we need to get out and let them have their own lives.
It's terrible.
It was horrible.
Isn't it? Like what we're talking about, the divide and conquer. Yeah, it's really crazy how we're accepting fascism. I hate to say the word. Even it's scary. I always
People
say,
don't recognize.
You're Jewish, right?
I was raised Jewish. How'd you know that?
I'm Jewish.
Are you?
I'm Hebrew. I would say we're a combination of all, like from Sephardic to Ashkenazi to African and everything, because we stick with each other. You know what I'm saying? Let's say real. But I could see that. But yeah, that was
John, you familiar with John Muir?
Muir, M-I-E-R, the artist. The artist. Okay, but tell me. Yeah. Okay.
John Muir helped get Yosemite National Park. He started the whole national park system. He was an avid environmentalist. Spent most of his life hiking through the mountains and writing books about we need to preserve this land. Well, when he was a little boy,
just get your hands, because I know you're a shy teacher. Go ahead.
When he was just a little boy, he was put down into the well by his father because the bucket had come loose or something. I don't know. They had to hook it back up, and I guess if you have in wells, there's a gas that forms at the bottom that will cause you to just lose consciousness. So the father had to lower him into the well to tie the bucket back on, but he kept saying, if you start to get sleepy, get into the bucket. No matter what, get into the bucket. So they lower him down the road, and that gas starts to take effect, and he was losing his sense of being. He was losing consciousness, and he just remembered in this sort of dreamlike state his father saying, get into the bucket, so they could pull him out. And he said, that's kind of where we are as a society. We're so fog. We're in such a fog that we don't even know what we're doing. We don't see that it's fascism. We don't see the prejudice. We don't see how we're being controlled. We don't see it. We're in this fog. We're at the bottom of the well.
We're sleeping.
And we can't see it. We're so enmeshed in it. And that has stuck with me. But we all need to get into the bucket and pull each other out.
It's true. And then you're just hitting a lot of like key Hebrew words, like sleeping. Like when we sleep in this time, we're slumbering. Wake up. Even Isaiah and the writings, And that's what I was going to say, the mythology of the Clash of the Titans. We just have to keep on keeping on. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I always say. Whenever somebody says, oh, this country's all, I'd be like, WWJD. They'd be like, Jesus? I'd be like, no, his name's Yeshua. He's not Greek. But Okay. No, what would the Jews do if it was a year before Hitler came into power? Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
That's how I think. Myself thinks like that. A part of myself, I save things. I certain, like I would call trauma-based personality, trauma-based certain things. Probably that's in the gene.
Yeah, there's a whole, what do they call that, where the trauma is passed on through generations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's happened a lot with the Native Americans, the Jews.
And that could be like, I guess we could say like Jewish people, like African people are like, everybody's anti-Semitic. You're, what? You said what? That's anti-Semitic. It's like I was saying, my children, a lot of black people pick up on these little discriminatory subtleties that are actually so mine. It actually messes with your mind. And that's the way the Willie Lynchism and the society paved it and weaved it. And it started way back from the beginning of the slave trade when they started making color a separation from us. We didn't have that in those tribes back in. We didn't have that. It really was something that the slave passage had to sell. Lighter, the brighter, the better. The darker, the more evil, the worse. Just the way to start
Which
the
is now
separation.
carried on within that.
Exactly. And this is keep us ever. We're here. We are family, and it's one blood, and it's gonna
Well,
happen.
that's it, we are all.
Just like we won Hitler. Didn't we win? We won. We won the war.
We won
even
the
though
war, but it is kind of.
we won the battle.
It's almost It's almost like a cancer. You can take out the tumor, but it still has its little tentacles out into the world.
And I was hearing the most saddest thing on the way here. French, Canada, Montreal, there's a city that just wants to be Anglophone. They don't even want to be. They have a history of Nazi survivors, Holocaust survivors who came in and the city was speaking French and English. Now these new youth, French only. That's that Nazi thing. French only. In Canada.
Same principle. Well,
How
Canada's
arrogant.
not, Canada's not exactly pure and innocent either. They've done the same thing to indigenous peoples.
I'm glad you mentioned the indigenous people because what about
and
the whole...
women. Everywhere, every continent on the planet has, subjugated women in very subtle little ways. In some places, some not so subtle. But in our country, it's much more subtle.
That could be why that Hebrew thing, it's always passed through the mother. It's kind of weird. Maybe it's just that, it's weird. The Jewish thing is passed through the mother, they said.
Right.
So I'm wondering, the
They
fact
thought
that you're
it was
mentioning...
carried on through the mother.
Yeah.
Well, in matriarchal times, everything is passed on. It makes more sense because you know who the mother is.
Exactly.
You don't know who the father is unless you
That's
do DNA. To
and
me, it's logical, but
that's
the men
totally...
took it over because they wanted some claim on the woman and the children. And the property. They saw it all as property.
Another Native American seer told me that there's two... The history of man is two separate men. One man who saw the mother as God and divine, and then a group of men who saw her as weak and, would take her out. So that's what we're dealing with. Like, it's so weird. We're going to get there. The Ruha is still spirit. It's still a feminine in Hebrew. Ruha, the spirit, if you grew up in church, is the woman. So, wow. I could talk to you for hours. Exactly. When you were talking to me, I had so many thoughts that I can't even, I'm going to have to sit down and talk to you because it's like, there's like 20 million thoughts that you just like hit on, and my brain can't even think fast enough that you just hit it. So I'll watch this video. Yeah, I'll watch this video and be like, that's why we have to keep this video because I'm going to input it into that because it's very, very important what you have to say to that. Just about that teaching. There's something that you said about teaching. We'll get to it. The Spirit will let us get to it. But there's something about that teaching that you're doing and what you're doing.
Here I think it's this vision, holding this vision of a better world, really.
Exactly.
Children that think for themselves, that are raised without the prejudice and all those other influences, where they can. And that's why I'm so attached to the nature thing, because in nature, you don't have someone putting their values on you. You get to find out who you are in relationship to all living things. And it's not somebody else's prejudice or somebody else's morals or somebody else's thoughts about what you should be. You get to be out there and just be who you are. And so kids can find who they truly are. And I think when you know who you truly are, you don't take everybody else's stuff. You can go, okay, well, it's you, not me.
That's true.
But we're so conditioned.
It's beautiful.
Really
to be following the crowd or following that to, wow. I think that's probably why I'm the way I am. I remember a third grade teacher, actually, let me go back. Kenya was in fourth grade. Kenya was one of my classmates, fourth grade teacher. There was, whatever was happening in that time, my teacher was like, okay, kids, let's, can you guys solve this problem? And she had us sit around and talk, and she said, if fourth graders can solve the problem of the world. And that is a little seed that never left me. It never left me. When she said that to me in the classroom, I was like, huh?
Kindergartners can figure out what we need to do. Have you ever heard that song about the kindergarten wall?
No.
Yeah, it's just this really simple little song about what you learn in kindergarten. It's, be kind to one another, clean up your mess, take a nap every day, hold hands when you cross the street. Simple truths. If we all did that, it would be a spectacular world.
Like being a little child, like the old scripture says.
And just being kind, sharing.
Yes, I.
Eat cookies every day.
Yeah.
Take a nap, rest. Take time to rest. Take time to draw. Hold each other's hands when you're crossing, going through something dangerous.
That's beautiful. You said you were raised Jewish. Huh?
Yeah.
Your mom?
I was converted when I was 6. She married a Jewish man, and she had never believed any of the Christian stuff anyway. So
it was all make-believe anyway. I hate to say that, but it's,
Yeah, who knows? I mean, there's so many different theories about who really existed and who didn't. And
I'm not saying, and some mythology is real, but it just gets all caught up. It's like telephone. It's like telephone. It's like, huh? Then all of a sudden, that's why, growing up Protestant-ish, I was like, something in my blood was like, that doesn't make sense. I felt like I was
6 years old, the whole idea that we were born sinful.
Exactly.
I've worked with newborn babies. There's nothing sinful about them.
Exactly. Yes,
There's nothing sinful about any of these people.
Exactly.
They're born beautiful.
It's the world that gets us all tainted up and hurt up, You look like a midwife.
I actually wanted to be a midwife.
Yeah. When you said
I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Oh, wow. Well, you are all that.
I wanted to be.
You are all that.
Yeah.
And there's still like, and maybe in the next life you'll come back, or you were a midwife. When you were just talking to me, you look like one of my midwife friends in New Mexico. I can't wait for you to meet them.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yes, we plan on doing with the cab.
Good.
And I hope, see, our project, hopefully we want to take this, I want to go to across the United States and then to Haiti. A community project, take these youth, and so...
And get kids to go there. My daughter went to...
Yes.
She didn't go to Haiti. She went to the Dominican Republic and did a volunteer project, and it changed her life.
Yeah. And that's why we need you. We need you to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know. I would love to.
Okay, I'm just going to get it still so that everybody can see your picture. Let me get a close-up. I know you're so beautiful. That's a hobo circle.